The Wisdom of the Shaman, Don Juan. Quotes and aphorisms from the work of Carlos Castaneda. We hardly ever realize that we can cut anything out of our lives, anytime, in the blink of an eye. A warrior doesn't need personal history. One day, he finds it is no longer necessary for him, and he drops it. For me, there is only the traveling on paths that have heart, on any path that may have heart, and the only worthwhile challenge is to traverse its full length, and there I travel looking breathlessly. To worry is to become accessible, unwittingly accessible. And once you worry, you cling to anything out of desperation, and once you cling, you are bound to get exhausted or to exhaust whoever or whatever you are clinging to. Look at every path closely and deliberately, then ask ourselves this crucial question: does this path have a heart? If it does, then the path is good. If it doesn't, then it is of no use to us. We either make ourselves miserable, or we make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same. To ask me to verify my life by giving you my statistics is like using science to validate sorcery. It robs the world of its magic and makes milestones out of us all. For a warrior, to be inaccessible means that he touches the world around him sparingly. And above all, he deliberately avoids exhausting himself and others. He doesn't use and squeeze people until they have shriveled to nothing, especially the people he loves. Life in itself is sufficient, self-explanatory, and complete. A man of knowledge lives by acting, not by thinking about acting. Thus a man of knowledge sweats and puffs, and if one looks at him, he is just like an ordinary man, except that the folly of his life is under his control. In a world where death is the hunter, my friend, there is no time for regrets or doubts. There is only time for decisions. Man lives only to learn. And if he learns, it is because it is the nature of his lot, for good or bad. The basic difference between an ordinary man and a warrior is that a warrior takes everything as a challenge, while an ordinary man takes everything as a blessing or a curse. The aim is to balance the terror of being alive with the wonder of being alive. A man goes to knowledge as he goes to war, wide awake, with fear, with respect, and with absolute assurance. Going to knowledge or going to war in any other manner is a mistake, and whoever makes it might never live to regret it. Forget the self and you will fear nothing, in whatever level or awareness you find yourself to be. Think about it. What weakens us is feeling offended by the deeds and misdeeds of our fellow men. Our self-importance requires that we spend most of our lives offended by someone. You have little time left, and none of it for crap. A fine state. I would say that the best of us always comes out and we are against the wall, when we feel the sword dangling overhead. Personally, I wouldn't have it any other way. Only as a warrior can one withstand the path of knowledge. A warrior cannot complain or regret anything. His life is an endless challenge, and challenges cannot possibly be good or bad. Challenges are simply challenges. You say you need help. Help for what? You have everything needed for the extravagant journey that is your life. The average man is hooked to his fellow men, while the warrior is hooked only to infinity. Seek and see all the marvels around you. You will get tired of looking at yourself alone, and that fatigue will make you deaf and blind to everything else. For an instant I think I saw the loneliness of man as a gigantic wave which had been frozen in front of me, held back by the invisible wall of a metaphor. Anything is one of a million paths. Therefore you must always keep in mind that a path is only a path. If you feel you should not follow, you must not stay with it under any circumstances. We are men, and our lot in life is to learn and to be hurled into inconceivable new worlds. Beware of those who weep with realization, for they have realized nothing. I had been experiencing brief flashes of disassociation, or shallow states of non-ordinary reality. The art of being a warrior is to balance the wonder and the terror of being alive. A man goes to knowledge as he goes to war, wide awake, with fear, with respect, and with absolute assurance. A warrior takes his lot, whatever it may be, and accepts it in ultimate humbleness. He accepts in humbleness what he is, not as a grounds for regret but as a living challenge. The trick is in what one emphasizes. We either make ourselves miserable, or we make ourselves happy. The amount of work is the same. Wait before revealing a finding. Wait for the most appropriate time to let go of something that you hold. Dissipating a mood through overanalyzing it wastes our power. The world is unfathomable. And so are we, and so is every being that exists in this world. To change our idea of the world is the crux of shamanism. And stopping the internal dialogue is the only way to accomplish it. A warrior thinks of his death when things become unclear. The idea of death is the only thing that tempers our spirit. A warrior is someone who seeks freedom. Sadness is not freedom. We must snap out of it. Having a sense of detachment entails having a moment's pause to reassess situations. A warrior knows that he is waiting and knows also what he is waiting for, and while he waits he feasts his eyes on the world. The ultimate accomplishment of a warrior is joy. Losing the human form brings the freedom to remember yourself. Losing the human form is like a spiral. It gives you the freedom to remember, and this in turn makes you even freer.